Hey, Bulls and Bears, we are back with another dose of economic reality. As you can see, I'm filming from a different location than my typical garage slash studio that I broadcast from. And I hope you guys don't mind the mess, but this is the only spot I could find today, and I wanted to bring you this report. Now, I didn't put out a video yesterday. I was actually on the road for a lot of yesterday, and we actually went to an amusement park for one of our kids' birthdays. And it actually wasn't that expensive. It was a park for younger kids. We'll talk about that more at the end of the video, but let's get into some of the financial economic news that I found for you today, and spent several hours scrolling through all the news for you as usual to find out what I think is the most relevant economic slash financial news. Let's start here in the housing market. This is out of MoneyWise. Now is not the time to get greedy. Home flippers get burned by U.S. housing downturn are now slashing prices to cut losses. Now, this is the thing about getting involved in a business that is very cyclical, right? So now we have these people that are probably reliant on flipping because that became their source of income. And now it's not so easy, is it, with the higher mortgage rates and everything else going up in cost, more people priced out of the housing market. Even with slightly lower home prices, people are priced out now with the higher interest rates. And flippers are having a hard time here. And this is out of MoneyWise. Home flippers who pounced on recent drops in home prices now face some major hurdles and potentially major losses. And this is the thing about an economy where you see these boom and bust cycles. You want to be very careful about the occupation that you choose, right? Look at the tech industry. Look at all the layoffs happening right now. And we know that tech skyrocketed basically, especially in 2020. I mean, tech's always been a very strong growth sector of the economy, but 2020 took it to a whole new level where so many people were at home and on their mobile devices as opposed to, going to work and being at work. And, this is going to be very interesting to see how these home flippers are going to navigate these waters and what kind of career or occupation are they going to go into if their profits, dry up. And there's the argument made that homes shouldn't even be an investment. It shouldn't be a way to make money. It shouldn't be turned into, a place for investors. It should just be shelter for people. And there's an interesting comment here. I just wanted to read here from this article. Again, this is MoneyWise. You can search the title and find it if you want to. Quote, big mistake to allow basic human need, shelter, to morph into an investment vehicle for the wealthy, gobbling up all the supply. This has priced out a good portion of the middle class from being able to afford an adequate home and no more than the recommended 30% of their income. When the average single income cannot afford the mortgage rent, something askew in what should be a normal supply demand market. The priority of ownership of single-family dwellings needs to be returned to owner occupied, and that's so very true. But that's what we see in so many different things. We see everything, including our shelter, is looked at as an investment. And, that's going to lead to continued unaffordability and tent cities, homelessness increasing wherever you look. Speaking of homelessness, let's go up to Canada for just a minute here. This is a recent article here out of DNYUZ. Did billions in spending make a dent in homelessness, right? So this article talks about this spending package up in Toronto after months of balmy weather and the first snowfall. We're seeing these tents now out in the snow, and people are asking the questions. We've spent so much money. We've spent billions to supposedly come up with affordable housing, and people are not seeing any declines in the number of tents. And in fact, it's still increasing, right? So where's all the money going? That's what many people are asking. We see all these spending packages, these bills that are supposed to make things better. Is anything built back? Has it been built back better? Has inflation reduced? Well, no, prices are still going up. They're going up a little bit more slowly. But even the name reduction, okay, so you're going to reduce inflation instead of 8%, maybe things are only going up 7% a year, but that's still way more than what most people can afford, right? So these so-called solutions that people are, fighting for and, out there speaking about, and the politicians, telling us this is going to fix things, why does everything continue to get worse, right? As we see the people behind these packages continue to grow their wealth. But the problems that they're saying they're going to try to fix never seem to get fixed, do they? Is it just me, or do you also notice the same thing? Well, it's not just me. It's this article here out of Toronto. The city, like others in Canada, has received millions in federal funding in recent years to build additional housing and has adopted other measures to address homelessness. But after about 5 years, no one can say whether any of these federally funded programs are working to reduce homelessness because no one seems to be tracking it. Well, the way that people are tracking it here is they're just looking at the tents, and the tents are not going away, the little cities and areas where tents are. In fact, more areas are popping up, more locations and areas are popping up with tents, right? So you can't make this up. I mean, the more that it seems like the quote unquote leaders are out there trying to fix something or resolve something, the worse it seems to get. Why is that? Speaking of the broader economy here, here's a recent article here out of CNBC. This is actually also put out on YouTube. The title, Companies Pull Back on Building New Warehouses Amid Economic Uncertainty. And it's not just Amazon. And, we have to heed the warning signals from companies who have their eye on the pulse, so to speak, and they see what's happening with spending and consumers shopping at their own company. So this should be just another warning sign, and another peg on the board here that things are going to continue to get worse and deteriorate. Now, you may not see a crashing stock market, but when you look at your savings, is it going up or is it going down, right? Are you paying off debt and saving more, or are you saving less and getting further into debt? Well, if you're 7 out of 10 people in the United States anyways, you're saving less and getting deeper and deeper into debt every month. If you're not one of those people, congratulations. You're in the 30% that are actually doing better than the 70% that are getting further and further into debt as time goes along. Yet we're being told that we're in an economic recovery. Wow. Let's move over to the UK real quick here. We're going to talk about food prices and what's happening with shortages. Things are actually a lot worse in the UK than they are here in the United States. Egg shortage hits UK as shoppers across the country are met with empty shelves. And that's what happens when office jobs and button pushing and flipping houses is the way that people make the most money, right? Instead of farming, right? We've taken ourselves off the farm and we've put ourselves behind a keyboard and in an office somewhere. And, this is not good. When we all have the ability to grow our own food and to not just save money, but also be healthier, most people, even if they try, they don't really have time because they're at work most of the day, or at least part of the day. When you add in the commute and the time it takes to get ready for work, most people, they get off work, they don't want to think about farming and growing food. It's something that maybe you'll have time to do if you're retired or if you're unemployed or if you're a full-time farmer, but it's getting harder and harder to become just a full-time farmer. In fact, the number of farms that are out there are dropping and filing bankruptcy and falling deeper into debt until ultimately it's going to be bankruptcy. Let's move on here. A couple other stories here before we wrap it up today. Back to the real estate market. Mortgage rates could tank home prices by 20%. And who's saying that? That is the Fed. The central bank here in the U.S. is saying home prices could tank by 20%. Now, if the Fed's actually finally admitting that there's going to be a decline of 20%, it's likely going to be a lot worse. Look at between 2006 and 2009, which was close to the bottom in housing. Actually, some markets didn't bottom out till 2012, but nationally, home prices fell 32% just in those 3 years, 2006 to 2009. Now, we look back at that, people call that a housing crash. Well, it took 3 years nationally for home prices to bottom out, and even longer in some cities, 5 years, 5 and 6 years. So this crash that some people are calling it in the housing market is more like a decline, and we could see home prices not bottom out for 3 to 5 years. That'll put us in 2027 until home prices finally bottom out. Hopefully prices will come down more than the higher mortgage rates, because right now with the lower home prices, the higher mortgage rates are still making it more unaffordable. Unaffordability hit another all-time high when you factor in people that have to get a mortgage and people that have to look at that monthly payment compared to their income. to determine if they can afford a home. And that's really not helping much, is it? Because most people have to get financed when they purchase the biggest investment that most people will ever make in their life, which is their home. So not just little forecasts anymore out there, or people on YouTube talking about a correction in the housing market. It's now the Fed. And this is actually a Bloomberg article. You can look that up if you want to. A recent article here out of CNBC: layoffs mount and Main Street still can't find any workers for open jobs. We still have this labor shortage, and I've always said here that the cost of living is so much, people don't want to take any entry-level jobs. Of course, there's still people working at these places, but if you're trying to afford your own place, if you're not living at home, it's hard to get by on. Here's an article right here and a picture of a fast food place, In-N-Out Burger here, which is huge here in California, starting at $17 an hour, earning up to $20.50 an hour. And the labor shortage, especially in fast food, you see pretty much every fast food restaurant that I look at, I see help wanted, help wanted, help wanted. And now with all these layoffs now in tech and people leaving the real estate industry, home flippers, maybe we'll see some sort of relief to this labor shortage as these speculative and investment-based careers, slow down and come to an end. We'll have to see how it goes here. When it comes to salaries, small business owners generally don't play in the same league as larger companies. It's even trickier now in a tight labor market with rising wages and more states and municipalities posting salary ranges, which stand to make small businesses look even less appealing from a salary perspective. And that's another part of this whole thing. Smaller businesses have to compete for labor with these multinational corporations like McDonald's and others, all these fast food places. And that's why we're seeing so many small businesses struggle and end up going under. And the more competition is wiped out, the more of a monopoly these big players are going to have. And that gives them more leverage to raise prices. Less competition, more leverage for the companies that do survive. And they're going to be able to raise prices. And that's why I say keep stacking, keep preparing, because things are going to get more expensive as we go down the road. You may see some corrections here and there, but a lot of them are offset by the higher cost of living and the higher cost to finance them, right? So we're going to continue to track this for you, everybody. Thanks for watching this report here. Hope everybody is having a great holiday season. We're coming up on Thanksgiving here this week. I will continue to put out videos as frequently as I can to keep you on top of this, and I like reading your comments and interacting with every one of you here. So hope to see you down below in comments on this one. Now back to my little weekend getaway here yesterday. Spent about an hour, almost 2 hours actually, going from San Diego to Anaheim, which is Orange County here, California. A lot of stop and go traffic. Actually, the gas costed a lot more than the cost of the park. And it wasn't Disneyland where you're going to go spend hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars for a day at Disneyland. This was a little park for littler kids like 5 to 10 years old called, what was it called? Adventure City, right? Very small, but affordable, $25 per person. So you can go there, and if it's just you and a kid, spend $50 and have a pretty fun time. They had some smaller rides and stuff like that. So that's about the extent of what I'll do as far as amusement parks go. We did have a pass to SeaWorld one year where they had some special, and that's kind of an educational place to go and look at animals too. It's not just an amusement park, but that's where I was yesterday, just so you know. And it was a good time. I'm going to leave you with some footage of a roller coaster. Actually, even though it's a small park with small rides, one of the coasters went kind of fast. So I'm going to leave you with footage of that to wrap this up. Everybody, thanks for watching. Keep stacking. Bye for now, everybody. And